the moment of truth. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how many videos are left in this series. All I do know is that this beastie, you can sort of see the movement in the wood, but somehow in these lights it doesn't look as good as it does outside. But anyway, cowrie. This piece of wood is 42,000 years old, as carbon dated, plus or minus 800 years. Hell, editor, flash the carbon dating thing on the screen. This is a really, really cool instrument. It's the first of 2 guitars at least that I'm building out of this wood for our client. And hey, if you fancy a custom guitar built, drop us a line. Oh, we do that. I've got stuff to do. Bridge, pulling out the electronics, etc. from the original Fender, and we'll see where we end up. But by the end of the day, the bridge needs to be on. So come on then. There are some surface inconsistencies where it was a bit softer and we couldn't go thinner. You can just see that in the lacquer. There you go, you got that there. This is actually going to be covered, and a little bit there as well. This is going to be covered with a clear scratch plate material in the end. Vintage surgery tools. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. Oh, that might do. That used to hold swabs. So what I've noticed is there's a few bits and pieces just on the inside, the underside of this, where the varnish has set up and needs to be, it just needs to be dealt with a little bit. And it's at these stages that you find all the final little bits and pieces that you need to work on, which is why the last 5% of the work always takes about 50% of the time. 9 times out of 10, that maths stacks up 100% of the time. So there's just a little bit of roughness in there. All right, this is the tiny Crimson Guitars sanding stick. These things are absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite tools that we've come up with in recent years. Doesn't quite fit in the middle there, but we'll do that. And it's just a case of cleaning up. It's not quite 2 steps back, but I don't want to drop water in there now, do I? There we go. Wet and dry can work dry, but not ideal. Here's a little trick that you might actually find useful. The current small sanding stick isn't quite thin enough to get in there without damaging or without hitting the other side. So I need an alternative. Well, until we redesign this or make an even smaller one, which I want. Tiny, tiny, tiny one. It's the little things that, you know, make life worth living. So take a small piece of the sandpaper that you're using, fold it over itself, like so, fold it again, and then, because everybody is me, get a small pair of jewelers, you know, preferably vintage, preferably from vintagetoolshop.com, jewelers needle nose pliers, and essentially that there becomes a small, very controllable sanding stick. Apply water. Liberally, and we're good. Now, how often you need to delicately sand inside something like this? Well, Yeah, I don't know. But still, it's a cool little trick. Click like, subscribe, share with all of your friends and enemies. Actually, sharing is more important than liking at the moment, according to the old algorithmic gods. And of course, at the end, we go to a crimson multi-use polish and just buff it up a little bit. I've gone through a few different grits of sandpaper. This has taken about an hour and a half out of what I had planned to do today, but it just has to be done. Yeah, quality over everything, in my opinion. I love what this stuff smells like. The problem I have with that sentiment, the quality above all, etc., perfection in all things is something I say a lot, is that my competitors don't feel the same way, and at least in the guitar building sphere, and certainly in the guitar building tools sphere, and we are not as successful as a result of that. If I cut down the processes on the guitars that we build, if I dumbed it down to the same level as even builders like Nick Huber, etc., we're going to be doing a lot of luthiers teardowns where I go through what other builders are doing. But looking at guitars, they are being almost universally built to a price point rather than built to a quality and then having a price point attached to it. And I can't compete on those prices, and it's but I basically refuse to dumb down the quality. It is a moral dilemma. What would you do? Let me know in the comments. All right, so the part of this whole thing that I've really been dreading is the bridge. I've got slightly off camera, which is my fault. We've matched the shape, but I need to do a little bit of carving, and then I need to take it and figure out both where it's going and how I'm going to scrape off the varnish here so that I can glue it in place. Actually, clamping it's not going to be an issue because yeah, I can get in there, which is it's nice. Oh, you're so pretty. Yes, I'm slightly embarrassed. Okay, so this is what we're building a version of, and I do like how delicate the bridge is, but I also love how the top of it curves away. I also love how all of you are currently pooping yourselves just a little bit at the thought of me holding this guitar above that guitar. So yeah, sorry. This is held to the block with masking tape and super glue trick, and I'm going to carve away now. Yeah, this bridge is very chunky and very, well, it's not as attractive as it could be, or as lightweight. With a smaller body, you don't need quite so much stress. Also, a hand plane would be a good thing for this. If I can figure out which direction the grain is going. Woohoo! I've done it. I mean, it was a 50-50 chance. No, it wasn't. It's both of them. Damn it! Haha! The files. Files it are. Files it are. It's been a long week. We'll get there. Okay, I like Iwasaki files, but if you've got cross grain, it does not necessarily work particularly well. So we go on to a hand cut grasp. That's too fine for that job. So we go on to a meaty one. Meaty, I tell you. Now I want a pizza. So now my curve is much more attractive, which is also lowering where the string is going to be in the bridge, thus raising the break angle and improving the tension and sound I'm going to get. Also, the cross-grained issue has gone with some gentle filing. My Iwasaki rasp file thing is fine. And I think we have these in stock crimson, actually. We should do, at least. And as I get the curves on the top going, you can see the curve on the side here becoming more attractive. And essentially the plan is to make those shapes match nicely. This thing is the thing. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. That'll do. Obviously needs a little bit of oiling, but I'll do that after we've clamped her down. The clamping process is probably going to mar the surface a little bit. So there we go. I'm putting off this next job because it scares me, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm toying with the guy behind the camera who desperately wants to come on camera to get something. You dropping my tools on the Sam? What are you? Oh, no batteries in the camera. Oh, flip! Wow. Daily Guitar Draw live stream is currently being done from there. These poor guys are supposed to be up live already, and they're not. Hey guys, how you doing? Hey. Anyway, Daily Guitar Draw, win fantastic guitars every single day and help fund a museum in the process. And here is the instrument that I am stripping hardware out of and rebuilding as well. But I'm going to use this to measure the bridge placement as exactly as I can based on what they've got, and yeah, match that, because we do not have adjustability in here, do we? I know what it should be, but also, hey, Fender have made more of these than I have, so I'm just going to copy them. 6.5, 6.5.1, 6.4.9.5. That's interesting. 6.4.9.3. 6.4.7.2, and then we've got the compensation there, or more compensation. That's 6.4.9, and finally, for the win. Hey, that's a little bit shorter than I thought it would be, actually. 6.4.6.8. So what we've got here is a nominal scale length of 648.8, but we also have 6 strings that are varying thicknesses, varying gauges, and we need to, with the scale length, compensate for that. So, for example, the high E, the treble E, is, I would normally say to students, you set it at 1 millimeter or so shorter than the nominal scale length, which comes out at about 647.9 or thereabouts, or 0.8. This is actually shorter. This is 640. It's basically 647, so 1.5, nearly 2 millimeters shorter than the nominal scale length. And the bass is 651 millimeters, which is 3 millimeters further back. This is for a set of acoustic strings, of course, so not what we tend to work with at Crimson. But there we go, all fun stuff. Yeah. Okay, I need to actually put a nut in here so that I can locate against that. And I've got a little bit of lacquer in the edges, which needs to be just gently cleared. I'm working from the outside edge to the middle, then I'm going to flip the neck around and do the other side. I don't want to blow the lacquer out going all the way through. And eventually I'll clean the bottom of the slot with a one of the Hosco files that we sell. Files do work backwards, so I can put it in and pull back, especially when you're just filing gently. So before I do anything else, I actually want to line it up properly, of course. .646.8. That's further forward than I thought it was going to be, which is fine. And obviously the saddle itself is angled, so let's see how close that angle is to what I require already. Pretty damn close, in fact spot on. There you go. The Crimson string action gauge, it's got rulers on the edges as well, which actually make for this process, it's a fairly useful thing to make sure that it's nice and square with the edge of that pickup cavity. Instead of drawing lines as much as possible, I'm using masking tape to locate it. So those two corners should be right, that should be the front, and again, double, triple check all your alignments and obviously scale lengths. There is some adjustment built in, but not much. Very gently. I'm just drawing that position. I've got my outside edges there. I do want to actually remove a little bit of material from the front of this bridge. It still feels just a little bit too chunky for me. So my front line is going to be different, but that's pretty much it. I also do have, when this was manufactured, not by Crimson, the slot was put in at a slight back angle, which isn't actually an issue. If necessary though, I can, if I need more movement intonation wise, I can put a larger width of material in there, or just straighten that slot out. So yeah, we'll see where we end up. And there we have it. This is the end of this video. Locating the position of the bridge is the single most nerve-wracking part of this entire process for me. It just is what it is, I suppose. I've made sure that the neck is absolutely locked in position, nice and straight and perfectly aligned, etc. We've got the scale length worked out. Everything is now copacetic. Copacetic? I suppose that works. In the next episode, I'm going to score around the bridge. I'm going to scrape away a lot of material, glue the bridge down, and we are going to at that point also have be working on the frets and stuff. Probably not on camera too much, but you'll see nice shiny frets, and I'm going to rip the original fender apart for its guts. Yeah, we bred a donor instrument. I should put my phone on silent. We bred a donor instrument. Fender bred a donor instrument. We just made a better instrument to take its guts out for. Yeah, it's this whole sort of, you know, haves and have-nots kind of a thing. So yeah, thanks for watching. Click like, subscribe. Check out crimsonguitars.com if you fancy supporting us, which we'd very much appreciate. So goodbye. Thank you.